Welcome to the Level Up Your Band podcast, episode 18. Hello, and welcome back to the Level Up Your Band podcast. My name's Gavin Patterson, and I'm here with my glamorous, beautiful co-host, Julian Pombo, who's running on 5 hours sleep, apparently.
Well, they don't need to. They don't need to know that. I'm feeling really chipper, and
you're actually not bad for 5 hours. Actually,
no, I'm not bad. It's caffeine. I'm telling you, once we finish recording, I'm just gonna
have a wee nap.
That's it. Oh, yeah, sleep for 7 years, something like that.
Yeah. So, how are you this week? Apart from tired, all right?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just kind of this whole thing is getting a bit old, but seems to be getting better here anyway, as of the time of recording, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Things seem to be improving, so that's quite good. We can meet somebody else outside as long as we stay 2 meters away, so
you can wave at your friends.
Yeah, we can wave at our friends and yell at them from a distance and then go back home. So
always good.
So how's things with you?
Yeah, good. Just working away. Just trying to keep busy with things. There's not much you can do if you run a recording studio that requires actual people. But it is what it is. So last week we interviewed the drummer Rob Shearer.
Yeah.
And I really like that episode.
I was in so much awe that I basically sat and I was sitting there in silence, just wide-eyed, like, wow, so much knowledge. No, it was excellent. It was excellent. I'm telling you, as a listener of the podcast, in that episode anyway, if you've not listened to it, go listen to it because it's really good.
Yeah, it was good. And the previous episode was about sort of home practice and practicing things, rehearsing before you come into the studio. So I thought, why not do an episode on home recording? Because at the moment, nobody's going to recording studios that I'm aware of. Well, they're not coming to mine. Anyway.
No.
So I thought, people can still home record. So why not talk about that? So there's a couple of things I wanted to go over. So some people don't really think about it. They think, it's too technical or you'll not be able to do it yourself. Because I've had conversations with people who are like, I can't do that. That's too technical. But it's actually not that difficult to learn. Plus, the technology that's available now has made it easier than ever to record music from home. So I don't think there's any excuses to just give it a try, because you can get free stuff to try it out, and then if you find you're doing okay, you can upgrade and get some better software or whatever. But try to avoid the mentality of technophobe. I'm a technophobe. I can't really do all that computer stuff, because I just think it just gives you permission to not even give it a try. I have a parent who does this. Whenever a new piece of technology enters the house, you'll just refuse to look at it, even though it could be really cool.
Acknowledge it.
So, and if you can always hire a professional to do it for you, even in lockdown, because if you're doing it remotely, technology allows you to do that. You can actually record remotely, and I'll explain that a bit later. But so, as a musician, if you're a songwriter, I would say it's pretty crucial to have some sort of recording setup. I know you've got a little recording setup in your house.
Yeah, and I can describe it to you. It's really bloody simple. So I have a wee sort of like SM45 style mic, except it's not. It's an AKG something or other. It's pretty good. I got a wee what do you call it? A wee
interface.
DAW. No, I got a DAW and an interface as well. You can tell. I don't know what any of these things do. I just sort of like plug them in and hope for the best.
The doodah plugs into the doodah.
The doodah plugs into the guitar and makes it go bring. Yeah, it makes it make sound. No, for sure. So yeah, DI box user.
Thanks, Mug.
A wee audio
mug.
interface. Oh, thank you. It's a nightmare. Look at that. It's disgusting.
The podcast people will not know what it's like a pug dog China mug. You'll see it on YouTube. If you don't follow us on YouTube, you should go subscribe to our YouTube channel and you
just to see this
mug.
Absolute
disgusting,
horrendous. It is disgusting. Bargain price for pound. Yeah, so it's just really simple, and I've got a wee like extension for my headphones as well, just in case you don't need that, but just in case you feel like doing, some fancy videos and you want to stand around and whatever,
Yep. So for people who don't know what a DAW is, it's a DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. And you're like, haha, what does that mean? So if you've ever been on a computer before, you have programs, applications that do certain tasks, like you have if you're used to using like Microsoft Word. It is a word processor. You can type words on a screen. You can make fancy headings and stuff and print things, whatever. That's what it does. A digital audio workstation is a program that can record audio. So it's pretty simple. It's got the pause, play, rewind, fast forward, and record functions like you would expect on a tape player, except it's digital. Yeah.
And it's got a bunch of other extra stuff on top of that, MIDI or whatever, but that's really the basics. Like that, all of them will share that very basic record, playback, rewind.
So if anyone doesn't really know, how that works, how do you get? So if you want to record a guitar with a microphone, how do you get that into a computer? What Julian was describing. His doodah, which is an audio interface, which is a little box with a guitar plug.
I'll see if I can show it to you
in the camera if you're on YouTube.
It's a mess of cables, but you'll get an idea of what it looks like. So for the YouTube people, there you go. That's it. I don't currently need that right now, but that's my microphone. That's for my guitar. That's a wee monitor thing, so I can hear back stuff and I can control the volume, and that's my headphones. That's it.
So it's got two channels. You can plug in cables, so you can plug in like a jack cable from a guitar or a mic cable from a microphone, and what that does is it takes those audio signals and converts them into a digital signal, and it travels down another wire called a USB cable into a computer, and then the computer puts that onto your DAW, your digital audio workstation. So that whole package you can buy bundled up. So you can buy the little box, the interface, and a lot of the times, 9 times out of 10, it will come with bundled software that runs with it. You can also get free alternatives. So at the moment, I'm using I run a recording studio, and it's the exact same principle. Julian's is a 2-track audio interface. I have a 24-track interface, which means I can record 24 instruments at the one time. So it's quite a bit bigger, but it's still the same principle, and it converts it all down to USB, and then it plugs into a computer. and then I'm using software to record from the box. It's fairly simple, and it's the same principle all the way up to the top quality audio systems, and they're all varied in price. So
Yeah.
you can get a little 2-track, 2-channel interface and DAW for under £100, quite simply.
Yeah. Let me just find out how much my one cost.
Yep.
Just to give you an idea, Scarlett Solo, mine's like an older generation. Yeah, £98.
£98. And does that come with software? Do you know?
Yeah, it comes with Ableton.
Ableton, okay.
That particular one.
So that's like you have your Microsoft Word processor, you have Windows Notepad, you have Google Docs, these are all different companies doing the same thing, really.
Yeah.
It's
more or
like
less.
that, but for audio. So you have Ableton, Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic. They all do the exact same thing. They just look different.
Yeah, Audacity, but we don't speak about Audacity.
Audacity is it's a free. I started on Audacity back in the day.
Yeah.
And the stuff you can get for free is more the free software that you can download now, and it's not illegal, it's just free, is if you were to download a free version of Audacity right now, that would be more technology than the Beatles had in the entire 10 years of their career.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Yep. They recorded Sgt. Pepper with a 4-track tape machine. And if they wanted different effects, they didn't just call up a computer, they had to go and make it happen with tape and all this kind of weird stuff. Now, you just have a preset on a computer that can do it for you. So now right now is the best time to learn how to record, because it is so easy compared to what it used to be. You had to have a degree in mathematics to learn like tape length and all these crazy terms. I don't even know, and I'm an audio engineer. I don't know. I don't know the first thing about tape machines. You need to know how, if your song is at 120 beats per minute, how much tape do you need to cut in order to match up to be one beat? It's all to do with milliseconds and inches. It's just crazy. I wouldn't know the first thing how to do that. So it is nowhere near as complicated as that now. It is literally plug in a guitar into a box and click record, and you have a recording setup. So I would suggest to anyone listening who has maybe put it off and they've not really thought about it, or they're just, because I've spoken to people personally who said, I don't really do all that computer stuff or that recording stuff.
No.
I'll just get somebody else to do it for me. But at the moment, you can't really do that as easy. So try and learn it yourself. There are literally millions of videos online from people explaining how all this works. So yeah, and there's also the manuals. You can read the manuals.
I'm sorry if I was looking away there. I just heard Rachel go, "Oh no, Jess!" I thought I was gonna have to jump up and deal with a situation. But don't get cats.
Don't get cats.
No, don't get cats.
Rule
More trouble than
2.
they're worth. Rule number 2 of
Yeah. So I would recommend anyone to just look into it. At least just look into it, because you're sitting at home, you've been writing some songs, you want to get some recordings done, and pressing the record on the voice memo app on your iPhone is just not cutting it. You want to have a little bit more. Say you've got a verse and a chorus and a bridge, and you want to kind of knit them together separately. You can do that on a computer if you have an interface. So recording demos and little songs and stuff makes it much easier, and it sounds better as well, because you can buy a microphone for not very much money and have a decent sounding guitar signal. It sounds a lot better than an iPhone microphone, that's for sure. And you can apply all these different types of effects like reverb or echo, if you want to think of it that way. It makes it a lot more creative, because that's the whole thing, is trying to make it as creative and fun and musical as possible rather than just being annoying. So I was saying earlier how you can still get help from professional sound engineers or whatever. And you think, how can you do that? If you aren't comfortable using recording software, or maybe you can use it a bit, but you're maybe not fully clued up in it all, there are alternatives. You can do online recording. So how does this work? So theoretically, someone who maybe wants to record some acoustic guitar and vocals in their house, but doesn't really know how to do it properly, whatever, can connect remotely to a recording studio if they offer it. And the recording studio can access your computer, listen to your microphones, listen to your song live over the internet, hit record, edit, everything. And when they hit record in the recording studio end, your interface and computer will begin recording your guitar and your vocals, and the signal will travel through the internet onto the computer inside the recording studio, so that it's recording over the internet, and it's all perfectly synced up. It's a fairly new technology, but I've seen some people using it online. And if you've got a decent little home setup, like a little interface like Julian's, and a decent little microphone, you can record easily from your house and transmit those files in real time to a professional recording studio to be, edited, or dropping in takes, or collaborating with someone else. So if the studio has a nice array of synthesizers and you want some synthesizers on your track, the studio can add his synth parts in. There can be collaboration there. So there's some things to take away from that, especially at this time when everyone's stuck inside still.
Yeah.
Well, that is something that you can do, and there are studios that offer it. So
does your studio offer it?
My studio does offer it.
So there you go.
All you need is an internet connection, and like I said, a DAW and an interface, and you can connect remotely and record over the internet, which is pretty amazing. And we were speaking of microphones. So say you're listening to us and you go, I quite fancy this. All I've got my guitar, I've got my, I don't know, name an instrument, violin, I don't know, and you want to do some recordings.
Yeah. And
you're thinking, right, okay, I'll maybe get a DAW and an interface, and I'll maybe do some home recordings. But I want to get a decent microphone. So you don't really know anything about microphones, so where do you even begin? So depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you're recording, say, acoustic guitar is a good one. If your acoustic guitar does not have a pickup, so you can plug in a jack or whatever, you might want to either get your guitar converted to have a preamp and a jack, or if you prefer a sort of more authentic sounding acoustic, buying a microphone to capture the actual acoustic guitar. You probably want to get a specific type of microphone that would do the job. So there are two sort of main categories of microphone. The first category would be a dynamic microphone. A dynamic microphone is like an SM58 or a vocal mic that you would see a live singer using. It's the one that looks like it's the classic microphone. It looks like an ice cream cone. It's with the little round pop shield thing on the top.
Yeah.
You know, the classic vocal mic that you see on stage. That's a dynamic microphone. It's really robust. You can drop it down a flight of stairs and it still works. And the reason I know that is because I've done it, not on purpose. I was packing up for a gig one night and the microphone case wasn't zipped up properly and the mic just fell off and fell out went boom, 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 down concrete steps all the way down, brand new. And I was like, oh no. And it was fine because it's a dynamic microphone. You can literally run a bus over it and
it'll still work.
They're tanks, especially the Shure SM58 is an absolute. It's the equivalent phone would be the Nokia. Is it the 3310? Yeah. It's a tank. It's a tank of a mic.
Yeah, indestructible.
It literally is. So that's a really great mic for and they're usually cheaper. The dynamic mics are usually cheaper than the other category of mics, which is condenser microphones. So the microphone I'm using just now is a condenser mic. And I think Julian's mic, is that a dynamic mic you're using just now?
Yeah, it is a dynamic mic, yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't remember the specific model.
The difference in sound quality. There'll not be much in it. The dynamic mics nowadays are really, really good. For spoken audio, I would probably prefer the sound of a dynamic, but I just happen to have a nice condenser, and that's just the one I choose to use. I have a selection of dynamics as well, but so why use one over the other? So, for example, on an acoustic guitar, you'll want to capture certain frequencies and tones from the guitar. So an acoustic guitar produces quite high frequencies and sort of the buzz and the sparkle. And some microphones, like dynamic microphones, don't pick that up.
Yep.
But condenser mics do. Condenser mics are more expensive, but you can get really cheap condenser mics. I'm thinking of the Audio-Technica AT2020. Which is about £120, and
it's actually on Toman. It's £79, so it's dropped in price.
Really? Wow. Well, when I bought mine, it was about 120. That was maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Fun fact: Billie Eilish, her big massive album that came out last year, all the vocals, as far as I'm aware, were recorded on that mic.
There you go.
How much money was that?
79 quid.
£79. And hit vocals were recorded on that mic. So you don't need a big £1,000 microphone to sound good.
Yeah. The other one that I'm reminded of is Jacob Collier.
Yeah.
Like the very first bunch of videos I made, everything was recorded with an SM58. Everything. Yep. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Which is nuts.
Yeah.
One microphone.
Yeah.
You know? And when you go and you listen to his first couple of videos, it sound great. Obviously, the production, the production quality is gone up. But even then, for one mic, that's insane.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
One mic that costs 100 quid second hand, probably around 50, 40.
So the difference. So why not get a dynamic mic for everything? You can, but if you want to capture, say you're a whistle player or a violinist, you want to capture just that extra little bit of quality from your instrument, I would recommend a condenser over a dynamic. But if you're recording, something with a high volume, like a snare drum, a drum kit, and you want to put a microphone up close to the snare drum head, or you're recording guitar out of an amplifier, a dynamic mic would probably be your best bet. Because they're more robust, they're less likely to break. If you drop a condenser microphone, or if you pass too much heavy, loud noise into it, they can break. And they're more expensive, so you're going to lose out. But starting out, if I was talking to myself 10 years ago and said, like, what mics should I start with? I would probably pick the Audio-Technica 80-2020 for a condenser mic, and I would probably get a Shure SM57 and a Shure SM58.
Yeah.
Those three mics would be the absolute best start, and at bare minimum, just the SM58.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's kind of what I did. I got a microphone for gigging.
Yeah,
I didn't even get it for recording. But yeah. So if you've found that you have bought a microphone, but it's for gigging, and it's an SM58, you're good to go. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's great what you can do with. And I find actually that setting yourself little like limitations like that, your creativity like skyrockets, because it's forcing you. I really like taking a very sort of reductionist like approach to creating music, because like limiting yourself and it forces you to think. But when you have everything available, it gets kind of to the point where you're like, oh, I don't know what to add, I don't know what to do. You know, so
yeah, totally. It's nice having choice, but sometimes that can just cloud your brain. Or you know, like your main focus should be the music, not the gear. So
yeah,
the next point I've got when thinking about home recording, if you're recording a guitar, and you will need a DI box, and for the longest time I didn't know. I didn't know what a DI box was. So, did you just buy a DI box?
I did buy a DI box. I actually bought this one. I just bought it off Amazon. It was 25 quid, and it works.
Nice,
bloody brilliant. It's just a wee cheap thing. So, I'm like, I should start my own podcast. Like, how to do music on a budget.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that should be an episode. Anyway, so that's it there. Very simple. 2 inputs there. There you go, and a wee ground lift, and that's it. That's all you need, and it works great.
So, some interfaces come with a DI sort of built into the interface, but I've not seen any of them have a ground lift switch.
Yeah,
that's the problem, and the reason why you'd be thinking like, what are you talking about? So, your Stratocaster or your Telecaster or your Les Paul or your acoustic guitar has an output, a jack output. And you'll notice on your jack, if you look at your jack cable, it will have, if I show the camera just now, this is a headphone jack, show it to the camera. It has a tip, a ring, and a sleeve. So that is a balanced jack connection. That's TRS, tip, ring, sleeve. And a jack cable only has the tip and the sleeve. So it's a TS cable and it's unbalanced. So what a DI box does is it takes an unbalanced signal, TS, and turns it into a balanced signal, TRS. And it usually comes out in the form of an XLR connection. The reason why you do that is so that it can be converted to a balanced signal for recording. And with a DI box, you have a It's called a ground lift switch or an earth lift switch. What it does is it eliminates buzz and noise. So I think you were having trouble actually recently because you were recording your bass directly into your into your interface, and there was some buzz.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and just to make things worse, I was recording on my P bass, which usually it isn't a problem, but the model that I have has the one pickup, and it gets really stroppy if there's lots of electronic things going around. So it hums a little bit, but it was humming, which is fine. It's part of the sound, but it was humming more than usual. So I found that. It was kind of scary because the thing that fixed it was unplugging my laptop, and the battery on my laptop isn't that great, so it was kind of this rush of like, right, unplug, here we go, record it as quickly as possible.
So what was happening was because the guitar is it's transmitting out an electrical signal. What happens is it needs a ground, it needs an earth. So when Julian was recording on his interface, there was no the ground, the earth happened to be his laptop charger going back to the plug in the wall. That was the earth. So what was happening was it was recording the buzz. It was fighting for earth. So what a DI box does is it tells the signal that the earth is here. Come here, so it's not fighting. And that's why you hear that buzz, because it's buzzing back and forward. It goes, me, no, you, no, me, me, you, me, you, me, you. It goes back and forward, and it makes that buzz. So that's essentially what it is. And it just cleans up the signal. You get a nicer, cleaner signal. You can get away with just plugging it straight into the interface, but you will get buzz and some rubbish. So with that, if you're recording guitar, I would recommend getting a DI box, but it's not entirely necessary in the beginning. So,
I mean, and that being said, 25 quid, like,
yeah, why not?
You spend that much money probably at at the start of a drinking session at a pub.
Yeah, totally.
So it's all relative.
That brings me on to video and editing. So part of this recording at home, that also includes video recording. So if you're going to do little videos or YouTube videos or online stuff, if you're recording the audio with your new interface,
any of that kind of thing,
you can also record video with it as well. So if you've got a camera, even just a phone, you can set your phone or your iPad up, pretty much what we are doing right now for the podcast. You can record the camera and then take the video footage and take the audio recording from your DAW and combine them together, which is what I'm doing with the podcast. The audio you're hearing right now is being recorded on my interface and on my expensive mic, and the video is coming from my iPad and it's being recorded by Zoom. So I'm combining obviously the Zoom audio will be there, so I just delete the Zoom audio, replace it with my own higher quality audio, and then sync it all together. And you've got a video, and you can do the same with videos at home. Say you've got an Instagram just now, and you record all your videos just with your phone. You just click record, and the microphone on your phone is just recording you doing your thing, and you release daily videos or whatever. I know a few people who do this, and they do it really successfully. But say you've been doing that for a year, and you've got a couple of thousand followers, and they really like your stuff, and you think, I can maybe do with an upgrade. I'll maybe get a DAW and an interface and some mics. And that way, instead of using your phone audio, you can still use your phone as a camera and use the video, and then just use the slightly higher quality audio and sync up together. And it's not that much extra work, really, once you get used to it.
And to be honest, Yeah, and like camera videos are camera videos. What the hell am I talking about?
Phone.
The
Phone
camera
videos.
videos on the phone. The phones,
Cameras are good.
like cameras are good for the cameraing, or whatever. Words, Julian. Yeah. Your phone has like the cameras on phones nowadays. Absolutely shocking. I remember, man, when like cameras on phones were, it was just a pixelated mess. But now you can get like a phone with like a 25 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
It takes
that's more than my
1080.
DSLR.
Some of them like 20. Some of them can record like 4K video. So
yeah,
if you got a phone, chances are you can start recording. I
think the thing with recording video, to try and make up for your camera on your phone, it's not looking great. It's kind of grainy. You can make up a lot of that with having good lighting. If you have a really bright light source, it can fool you to think that your camera's better than it actually is if you are well lit.
Yes.
I discovered that. It blew my mind. Just, you can buy some cheap camera lighting off Amazon for like less than £50. You get a decent light. And honestly, it goes from like, it looks like a £5 camera to a £125 camera just by turning on a light switch. It's bizarre. I don't really know an awful lot about cameras, but yeah, I do know that lighting is crucial.
Yep. Very important.
So yeah, that whole recording your own audio with your own videos and using that to release your own content from home. There's nothing stopping you from writing, practicing, recording, videoing, editing, and releasing your own music from home. You can do it.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing stopping you. It can be. I should say this goes back to before about home practice. This should be like the slogan, or I feel like it's be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it is important. You're not going to get up every day and coming out with bangers like, every time you open up the laptop, you're like, oh yeah. Like, it takes time. Sometimes you have really good days. Sometimes you have really bad days. It is what it is, It's just thought I'd throw that in there because there is that sort of temptation to be like, I don't know. To sort of expect everything to go your way,
It's a slow process when you first start out. I think the first time I saw a DAW and recording software, I was just like, I don't know what any of this stuff does. I know what play and stop and fast forward and all those buttons do. That's it. That's all I know. But just with slow going through the thing and trying things out and failing and then learning and then you get used to it. Same with video editing software. You can get there's so many free like softwares out there that you can use to do all this on. You do not need to spend a huge amount of money. I know some people who do spend huge amounts of money on things that they really don't need. Like Cubase Pro is like £400 odd, and Pro Tools I'm sure is roughly the same, like £500. You don't need that to do home recordings. You can just use like the Cubase. I think the sort of base version of Cubase is like £50, £70, something like that, if that. And you can get other recording software like Audacity or I don't know, name it for free.
The one that I use is called Mixcraft. And this is the thing that shocked Gavin. You can buy it on Steam.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Steam is
So
a
sometimes when I'm
gaming platform.
recording, because you know we're friends on Steam and all that. Sometimes if I'm recording something, Gavin just gets a wee notification. Julian is playing Mixcraft 8.
Just
Which
blew
is
my
pretty
mind.
dumb, but
Did not know that Steam did that. That's mental. So yeah, there's like there's so many free alternatives to all these. You hear
Yeah.
like Pro Tools is so expensive, and it costs like 10 grand for a interface. Nah, it's really not. So say you don't have confidence in your own mixes, or you don't have confidence in releasing content that's going to be up to scratch. You can always record it at home and do the old-fashioned thing and send it to a mix engineer over the internet, and then they can mix it and master it for you. And you're like, what's mixing and mastering? Mixing, after the thing has been recorded, so you've got your guitar, your vocals, your drums, your bass, that's it. So you could send that all those recorded instruments to the mixing process. So it could be a mixing engineer, and they will take those individual instruments and blend them together using effects and equalization and all sorts of things, blend them together and mix them together into a stereo track. And then once that's done, it then goes to mastering, which is when the mastering process is taking the mixed audio file and trying to make it sound good on everything, so that it doesn't just sound good on the studio monitors that it was mixed in. So when you listen to it on your laptop speakers, on your AirPods, on your car
these
stereo,
Samsung bad boys here.
yeah,
You know?
that it sounds decent on every or as many platforms as possible, and different file formats like MP3 and WAV and all that stuff. So if you don't know all the ins and outs of that process, you can still get a professional to do it for you.
Yeah.
So if there was anything else that you wanted to say, the incentive basically, it's just a call to action. And I know there are people out there who just put it off because of the whole technology scares me thing.
Yeah.
Don't let it scare you, because it's not as scary as it used to be like
10,
20 years ago. This stuff was pretty complex.
Yeah. I should point out it can still be frustrating, but just because something's frustrating doesn't mean that you should stop doing it. I feel like that's I feel like that's more of an issue with people nowadays. Certainly, I've certainly struggled with it. It tends to be that you'll be working on something, and then as soon as it becomes hard, I don't do this as often, but as soon as something becomes hard, you just go, no, I'm not doing it anymore. That's it. Yeah. And I feel like it's I don't want to sound like a boomer or anything, but I feel like our generation is quite prone to that kind of thinking. I'm not saying I don't struggle with it. I do. Some people do more than others, but if it's frustrating, you will curse your computer and the heavens and everything because it can get hard. But just persevere with it. It's like any piece of technology, really.
Learning to drive. Remember how frustrating that was, trying to learn the highway code and all that.
It's crazy because it's exactly like that. But it's one of those things, like when you learn it, you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And then you do your test, you pass somehow, and then you actually start driving.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
the learning
I'm
can
thinking
begin.
back and I'm like, I don't remember learning how to drive, if that makes sense. I feel like I've always been able to do it. And it's the exact same thing with recording. Like you find that you do just learn and pick things up along the way.
Yeah.
New things, new tricks, but it's the same with anything, but just persevere, keep going with it. Yeah. Don't let it scare you.
Yeah. Cool. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. But yeah, it's just basically, if you haven't already tried, just give it a shot, because all you need is a laptop and an internet connection
And a little bit of patience.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we're going to leave it there. Thanks for listening, as always. And if anyone has any questions regarding this episode or any episode, like what microphone should I use, or what any advice or technical advice, feel free to
touching on anything we've talked about.
Yeah, feel free to reach out and moan at us. We are happy to
really
address them.
To be honest, we'd love to do a Q&A episode. I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah, definitely. So you can reach us, as always, at www.levelupyourband.com, as well as on Facebook and Instagram, Level Up Your Band. Where else are we? We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube as well. We've started releasing these videos in a video format. It used to be just the Level Up Your Band logo, but now we've started recording Zoom videos, so we're uploading to YouTube. So give us a like and a subscribe, please.
Share it around. Tell your friends. It's the hottest new thing in town.
We said that, do that passive aggressive thing, that person who needs the advice, like, here, listen to this, you need it.
Yeah. You're at music. You need to listen to this.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't be a roaster. Listen to that episode.
Yeah, remember that. So anyway, thanks for listening, and hope you all have a good week.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.